So people think that cloud engineers code 8 hours a day. And when I got my first cloud engineer job on July 21st, 2023, I was making $135,000 a year. And most days I worked around 2 hours, maybe even three. And here's exactly how I did it. And so I have some notes on my laptop I'm going to be speaking off of, but I want to make sure that this is raw. It's not going to be edited. I just want to give you a ton of value. So make sure you take some notes. And this is what I was doing when I was working my 9 to 5. So in the morning, I typically would check my dashboards, right? I would look on CloudWatch. If you don't know what that is, in AWS, which is a cloud provider, it's CloudWatch is a service. It's a tool that you can use to monitor different numbers, different metrics, right? So for example, if you have like a computer on AWS, call it EC2, let's say we have 10 computers, and let's say that we want to monitor the space of the computer, right? The storage. Let's say it's 20 gigs. Let's not say that. Let's say it's like 100 gigs of space. And as soon as it hits 80%, like 80 gigs, you'll get an alert that will be sent to your email, or and it will also show it on the actual service on CloudWatch on AWS, right? So that's just an example, but I would monitor CloudWatch to make sure certain numbers, I want to be proactive. So when there's a certain number a little bit too high, I'm able to remediate that, or like, for example, clear up some space or even add space, right? So we want to make sure that nothing is on fire. And typically this will take around like anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes. If something is on fire or something is like reaching that level, I'm going to go ahead and, for example, clear up the space. Right? I'm just using that as an example. But clearing the space. One time I actually had to use Terraform, which is a infrastructure as code tool. It's just something that you can use to automatically build different services in AWS, to build different tools. And so I needed to use Terraform to go to CloudWatch. When the CPU utilization was above 70%, it will go ahead and send an alert to an email list, just a bunch of people in the emails that would need to know that data, right? And so, that's some of the things that I've done to, build something in CloudWatch, but then also monitor too as well in terms of the storage. That's actually something I was tasked to do. And so that's typically what I would do in the morning. Like I wake up, I would check that in the morning, and then we would have our stand-up meeting. So for the first job, we had our stand-up meeting every Monday. I think it was around 9:30. I can't remember. It was a while ago. But it was around like it can be super quick, like 2 minutes. It can be 5 minutes. Typically, it would probably be around like 10 minutes. It was fairly a small team. It was me and two other people, and my team lead was one of them. So three people total, and it was so chill. Like we just talked about what we did yesterday and what we're gonna do today. Like that's it. Like, hey, yesterday I was able to use Terraform to build out the infrastructure needed to monitor our CPU utilization for across these 10 different EC2s. And today I'm going to go ahead and, do X, Y, and Z. It's really simple. And then good. Typically the stand-up meeting, they go around and say, hey, Tayo or John, and that's what you would say. And what I would say would typically last 30 seconds to a minute. And if there's like any issues, we would talk about it and discuss it. And so the actual work though, right, would be like Terraform changes, right? One time I needed to update the Terraform version, and you need to do that in the code, right? You just literally go into a section in the code, and instead of, let's say it's 3.2, you would just change it to 3.3, right? Slowly what I did for the day. Yes, it is that sweet sometimes. A pipeline fix. So maybe you're running a CI/CD pipeline. Maybe you're running some changes, and then you have to troubleshoot. Right nowadays, like you have different tools, different AI tools. Make sure you're using it in an isolated environment because you don't want to put any company sensitive information inside the AI tool. You can even host it locally. You can download AI locally on your computer. That's a whole different video. But you can use AI to fix before, like it's, excuse me, before we didn't really have this many tools when it comes to AI. But now literally you can ask it to do something and it will build everything from A to Z. It's insane. Before I had to kind of troubleshoot, and it was a little bit annoying. I will still use AI in an isolated environment, but I had to fix the problems. But now AI can do that. But nonetheless, pipeline fixes, like so CI/CD pipelines, I would have to troubleshoot, see what's wrong, use AI to help. Security patches too as well. And some days, right? I won't say some days. We probably had like 3 times where we had a big migration that would take, a decent amount of time. And so I would say maybe like an hour or two in terms of like troubleshooting, building things throughout the day. If it's like a big migration, I'm probably working like 4 hours that day. But it's really nothing too crazy. Okay. And so when I say migration, right, it can be migrating. One time I had to migrate databases and applications from on-prem to AWS. That was a huge project. Another time I needed to migrate different services, different data, different applications from one AWS account to another. And so it just depends on the type of migration that you're working on. But nonetheless, I'm not working like more than 4 hours a day that day, if it's like that migration. And so the rest of the time, I'm like learning, I'm reading documents, I have responding to Slack messages, and maybe, like I said, once a week we're doing the meeting. But it's not urgent. Like 90% of the time, it's more laid back. It's like you have your own time. You're not like, you don't have somebody hovering over you. At least in my experience, when I worked these different contract jobs, these just different contracts. I first started with a full-time job, and then I navigated over to contract positions, and all of them was the same. It was relaxed. It was remote. I never did on site when it came to AWS cloud engineering, and it just gave me a lot of flexibility, gave me a lot of freedom, and I was able to job stack ethically and legally to a decent amount of money. Right, I won't share the exact amount, but I'll probably list a link where you can see my offer letters, and you can go ahead. I will say it was multiple 6 figures, and I mean like you'll see it on the link. But nonetheless, I was able to job stack ethically and legally to the point where I'm making, I would say I was making a top 1% income. And so, like I said, I'll post the offer letters and my pay stubs, and it will be a link where you can see it, because I like to be as transparent as possible. If you are interested in learning how to actually get started yourself, I'll leave a link in the description below to apply for my mentorship. We don't just accept anybody. We're very specific on who we choose, but we're looking for people who's willing to put in the work, to put that energy into the blueprint, step-by-step blueprint, and so that they can, receive the skill set of cloud engineering, right? In terms of how to build projects, how to actually get recruiters to reach out to you, and how to communicate, how to be able to actually show value, communicate the value from the projects and tech challenges that you learn from the program. So if that's you and you're interested, go ahead and click the first link in the description below to get started today. And let's get back to the video. So we're closing up, but for the, I would always say like they're paying me to like just honestly sit on my ass and do nothing. Because most of the time we're not really doing anything. Like once we build something, right, we're building automations, we're building infrastructure, we're just monitoring it, right? And so when something does break, that's when we work, right? And so, they're paying us a lot of money, not because of, because we have the skill set to be able to fix big problems when they do break, right? When something in production goes down at, 11 p.m., right? You're the one who knows how to fix it. Now, the type of work I was doing, it was a typical 9 to 5. I wasn't working after 5 p.m. But there are some companies that you're on call and you're working, past your work hours for specific projects or situations. And so you're paid for what you know, not by how many hours you work. That is the key difference. Comparing that to like my old job help desk, right? I'm doing password resets. I'm doing it from a specific time. It's really like per hour. Like you're working per hour, but cloud engineering is completely different because most of the time we're not doing anything. We're either building something, building infrastructure and monitoring it, setting up automations to the point where, things are running smoothly. And so it gives you a lot of freedom. It gives you a lot of time freedom, money abundance, and location freedom, because I worked remote. And it wasn't because of this degree, this certification. I have another certification, AWS, CCP. That was not the reason. I got all these, and I was still driving Uber Eats at 2 a.m. in the morning, averaging around $10 an hour. It was because I knew how to build solutions for companies that had problems, really big problems. Okay. And I was able to not only get that experience through, actually building it myself, the projects, and I was able to communicate to them that here's your problem. I understand it. This is what I've done to build the solution to solve your problem. Essentially, that is how I'm able to get recruiters to reach out to me, right? I know how to brand myself to have them come to me, and I know how to communicate to position me as one of the top candidates on any job interview, right? If you go to my Instagram highlights, you'll be able to see multiple offer letters, my offer letter, my students' offer letters. I'm very transparent. We have a lot of people doing multiple six figures. And so you can check that out, but that is the process, right? It's the problem, solution. You build projects to be able to solve those solutions, and you're able to communicate. And you're able to, for my students, I showed them how to build their brand, how to communicate, like everything from A to Z. And so the results is on my Instagram highlights. And then I'll also leave a link to like a page where you can see it'll probably just be on my Instagram highlights. I'll put it there. And so it sounds crazy, and especially when you do go on my Instagram highlights and see all the numbers, but it's not a fantasy, right? It's reality. And I'm very transparent to anybody I talk to. Like, yes, these numbers are crazy. There's people even making a lot more, but this is not going to be possible for you or anybody that's not willing to commit, right? You have to commit to something. When you want to lose weight, you have to commit. You have to put all like foot on the gas. You can't one foot in, one foot out, right? Same thing with this program. Same thing with other programs. You don't have to join this program. There's a bunch of other programs out there. There's YouTube University, right? But I'm saying this because I've seen so many people, try to learn this on their own, or even like literally they're just not committed, and they don't get the results, right? Half in, half out, right? And that's what you give, and that's the type of half in, half out results that you get. And so I want people to know that, hey, this is a reality, and it's insane. I feel like it's a cheat code when it comes to, like, I guess, the Matrix or in life. But it is insane in terms of acquiring the skill set, really developing the skill set, to be able to become very valuable in this tech space, specifically cloud engineering, because there's a lot of companies, especially with AI coming out, right? AI lives in the cloud, right? So they need more cloud engineers to manage cloud infrastructure. But this skill set is very valuable, and there's a lot of unfilled jobs, and there's a lot of jobs coming out every day. If you don't believe me, just look at it. And they need people. But to be able to actually get to that position, you need to acquire the skill set. To be able to acquire the skill set, you need to commit, and you need a step-by-step blueprint on how to get there. So if you're in tech making six figures and you're trying to get to that 300K, 400K, even $500,000 a year, right? Go ahead and click the first link in the description below to go ahead and apply for our program. And me and my team will reach out to you to show you exactly how to get started step by step to go from where you are all the way to that 3 to 500K mark. And also go ahead and look at the Instagram highlights to look at all of the successful students. They have used the step-by-step blueprint that I kind of shared in another video. But I'll link that video to this video and show you it's how to make $500,000 a year step by step, right? And so they've used that same blueprint. It's, in the program it's more detailed, but you can have the blueprint and no commitment and no results. But if you're like, hey, I'm ready to make a change, I'm ready to take action, go ahead and click the first link in the description below, and I'll see you in the next video. Deuce.